Las Vegas is doing really bad because of the economy. Well, not exactly. You know, I had the very fortunate life to where I got to live in Las Vegas in the early 80s. Las Vegas back then, of course, was a different world. Well, let's face it, the world was a different world. Back then, there wasn't much going on with the internet. There was no Facebook or TikTok or YouTube there were very little distractions. There certainly was no online gambling. There was no online porn. You couldn't just go online and lease out a stripper for 10 minutes for, I don't know, I don't even know what it costs to get an online stripper. That's how far behind I am. But you have this narrative now where people are trying to paint Las Vegas as being a failure because of the economy. And that's just not true. It's simply not true. Now, there might be a tiny, tiny part of it that is that. But I'm going to tell you about the majority of what's going on in Las Vegas. First of all those things that we didn't have back then, we most certainly have now. See, you do not need to go to Las Vegas anymore to place a bet. You don't need to go to a casino anymore to play blackjack. You certainly don't need to go there to find a stripper. And you certainly don't need to go there to get a nice buffet or to get a cheap hotel room or to see a great show. In fact, you don't even need to go there to see Las Vegas at all, because every single thing that Las Vegas had to offer is now available online. Now, people are entertaining themselves online. All you have to do is go on TikTok any Friday or Saturday night and see what's going on there. People on TikTok are having a great time entertaining each other. They don't have to pay the high expensive room rates. They don't have to pay the high expensive meals. They don't have to pay or tip anybody for anything. And in fact, if you're on TikTok, you can send roses to people who you think are funny. And they cost you, I don't know, $1 for about 100 of them. I don't even know the price, but it doesn't matter. Now, on top of that, people are not traveling as much as they used to. And partially, people are not traveling to the United States because currently, right now, we have a bad reputation and the world doesn't like us. Now, I'm not getting into politics. I'm not saying that's right or that's wrong. America has the right to protect itself. And by the way, real quick, I'm going to put this beautiful Tesla Model Y Juniper 2026 model in full self-driving. I simply push this button and then the car will drive us where we need to go. Anyway, so I'm going to sit back and enjoy talking to you, and you can sit back and enjoy listening to me while I am not driving. Look, ma, no hands. Anyway, look, the world is changing. It's changing rapidly. And if you just look at the virtual availability of cities now, you can go online and you can travel to any city in the world, including Las Vegas. There is absolutely nothing stopping you. So this notion that people are scrambling to come from all parts of the world, and including all 50 states, to go to Las Vegas anymore is just ludicrous. So is there a percentage of what's going on in Las Vegas having to do with the economy? Yes, but it's a very, very tiny number. Habits are changing so fast, and people are not even ready for it. They're just not. They're not. Think about a young person, let's say 45 or younger. They have absolutely no desire to go to Las Vegas. And when I say they, I mean 90% of them. The problem is the other 10% that are going make Las Vegas look empty. And back when I was in Vegas, and even up until, maybe 10 years ago, 80% of people wanted to go to Las Vegas. And 70% of that 80% actually went there. So you're going to see a lot more of this. You're going to see a lot more online talking about Las Vegas is dying because the economy sucks. The economy is going to suck at some point, but that's not the problem right now. People are not going to spend money on crap that they can look up online. In fact, I'll be honest with you, you can actually go online right now and find one of those cameras, those municipal cameras, and you can see exactly what's going on in Las Vegas. The other thing is Netflix and, stuff like that has changed the way we entertain ourselves. Back in the 80s, we didn't have Netflix. We barely had video stores back then. You had to rent a movie, and by the way, you didn't have access to concerts. You didn't have access to rock concerts especially, or back then in Vegas, Siegfried and Roy was a really big show. You couldn't just go online and subscribe to some streaming service and watch the Siegfried and Roy show every night. You can do that now with a lot of shows. And I'm not saying all the shows in Las Vegas, but I guarantee you this. If there's a rock concert or any concert that you want to go to today and pay $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 for a ticket to be there live, and I know it's really special, I know it's really cool to be there, but just wait a few weeks, you'll find it on YouTube. So, look, Las Vegas is dying because it's boring. It's boring to a young generation. And I'll tell you right now, when I was there in the 80s, it wasn't boring. And that's not because I'm an old guy and I'm old in my ways. I am actually realizing the fact that the young people who don't want to go there are actually smart. There's nothing to go there for. There's nothing exciting there. These people now are actually making their own music on their iPhone. They're making their own movies on their iPhone. They are following people all over the world. Mr. Beast is the new Las Vegas show. All these creators that do these crazy, wacky, off-the-wall videos, that's what people want to see. So if you tell a 30 or 40-year-old, hey, let's get on a plane, go to Las Vegas, have a nice buffet, and go see blah, 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 blah entertainer. And even U2. U2, I'm a huge fan of U2. U2 were the ones that opened the Sphere. They went to the Sphere. And friends of mine went. They flew out there. They invited me to go, and I'm like, I'm just not into it. I'm not going to fly to Las Vegas for one show just to see the whole new Sphere thing. And when they came back, the first thing they told me, they said was visually, it was really cool. It was a beautiful show, and U2 were up there. They were doing their whole show, but the sound was horrible. So if you like U2 for their music, you certainly, most certainly weren't getting that when you went to Las Vegas. Now, the same thing is happening with Disney. Let me tell you something. The least exciting thing for a kid, especially a kid who's old enough to use an iPhone, and by the way, 6-year-olds now are using an iPhone. For them to go down there to see Mickey Mouse, it's not very exciting anymore. I'm sorry. And like I said, I'm not talking about everybody. I know there's still a percentage of people that go to these places and go to see these things. But it's just not there anymore. So Canadians are not coming here. They're not coming here because they hate America right now. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. People from other countries are not coming here partly because they hate America, but partly because the world is kind of a crazy place right now. And also, there are other places to go. America used to be this big, fantastic place that you could go and see things. But you know, a lot of people want to go to China now. They want to go to Japan now. Because some of the architecture and some of the construction and some of the buildings and some of the amazing parks that are being built in other places in the world are much nicer than what we have in America. And I'm not knocking America. We just don't have that. We're a little behind on that stuff. People are going to Japan because supposedly the people in Japan are beautiful and friendly and kind, and there's a lot to do there and people are happy. You know, and honestly, we're lagging behind on the happiness front. America's unhappy right now. I don't know how to fix it. I hope someday somebody brings it all together and brings it back to the way it used to be. But look, Vegas is dead, Disney is dead, and it's just the beginning. Thanks for watching.